Hey there, I'm going to be talking about the Tongass National Forest. Okay, so this is a national forest that's been around for a long time, right? I mean, Theodore Roosevelt made a national forest in 1902, and it's been a thing. I mean, it's grown, it's stood the test of time. Some trees in there reach up to 1,000 years old. The problem is, how do I say this? Human greed. Okay, wherever there's money to be made, there's humans there ravaging Mother Nature over and over and over again. They're trying to take God's beautiful country and make it into a desert for their pockets to be stuffed. The Tongass National Forest is like many other forests across the country, across the world, that are being deforested at a rapid rate. Look at the Amazon. Crazy. Anyhow, Tongass National Forest is 17 million acres of untouched, beautiful land up in Alaska. It's considered a rainforest since it gets 17 feet of rain per year. That's a lot of rain. Florida only gets like 180 some inches. Don't fact check me on that. Anyways, the Tongass National Forest has been subjugated to deforestation a lot. Since the late 1900s, it really got big. Now, there have been a couple restrictions put on that, but we'll get in that later. Now I'm going to talk about, what it does. It it takes out 10% of the carbon emissions that the U.S. puts into the atmosphere every single year. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, taxes are 7% on average, depending on where you live. So that's another 3%. I mean, that's crazy in my opinion, at least I think so, that it can take out that much carbon dioxide. Anyways, so we did a little deforestation simulation, and we saw that without replanting any trees, you lose about 70% of your forest. That ain't good, because where are the animals going to live, and where are we going to get our oxygen to breathe? We're all going to suffocate ourselves. Anyhow, but we did a reforestation simulation, which you can also see on the slideshow, and we found out that replanting those trees actually helps and reduces your tree loss by about 30 to 40%. So instead of losing about 70% of your forest, you're only losing about 40 to 50%, which is not good, but still better. Now, the thing about the Tongass is the animals depend on the forest, and the forest depends on the animals. It's the cycle of nature and whatever, and here we come, humans, we want the wood, we want the money, we want the greed, it's the whole thing. The thing about this is, it's not a good thing. It's plain and simple, it's not a good thing, because we're destroying nature. Now, we could replant the trees, but the problem is if we cut them all down and then we replant them all, these trees take so long to grow. 5 to 10 years just to sprout, be a sapling, and then 50 to 75 years to get fully grown, and then 100 years to get of mature age. It's a long time. That ain't no small chicken feed. It takes these trees a human lifespan, which is 100 years, to even get to their, mature growing age. They're like teenagers at 100 years old. It's crazy. Anyways, so these animals depend on the forest. So when we cut down all the trees and we place them all with saplings, these animals can't survive long enough to live without these full-grown trees. They need them. So saplings aren't going to cut it. The eagles depend on them for nests. Owls depend on them for homes. Woodpeckers depend on them for pecking wood. Squirrels depend on them for storing their food. Bears depend on them to scratch their back, bare necessities and all that. These trees have a lot of responsibilities that they didn't even sign up for. So I proposed a couple different plans. The first plan was to replant all the trees, but I just kind of disqualified that idea due to the fact that all the trees we replant will, take too long to grow back. And, it's going to cost a lot of money. And if that does happen, it's usually going to be out of the people's pocket. So say a 2% tax or a 1% tax, maybe even a 0.5% tax, just to replant the Tongass. Now, we could put that on the loggers but they're not going to like that very much. And then we'll stop getting our wood, and then the wood prices will skyrocket. So, it's a pretty touchy subject. There are restrictions on it, though. Like the loggers, I believe, are only allowed like 6% of the Tongass, which is great. Until you realize how big the Tongass is, and that's about 1.5 million acres. I bet you don't even live on an acre plot. That's how big that thing is. That's 1.5 million acres of trees, animals, rivers that are just being crushed for money. What a funny story. Not really. Anyways, so that idea really won't work, replanting all the trees. I think our best bet is not to be in the fields planting the trees, but be in the halls of the Congress with pen and paper. Because I think the only way that this is going to stop is if, Congress or the president signed a bill on it, you cannot do this with the trees and log this much because it is a problem and it's killing the planet. Like that. Problem with relying on Congress is they fight on what they're going to eat for breakfast. I want an egg sandwich. I want a sausage and egg sandwich. Egg sandwiches are better. Congress, what do you expect? It's argument. I think our best bet is to try to get to the president, either sign a petition or, protest or whatever, and be like, hey, Mr. President, can you do this thing with the Tongass? That way the loggers can't kill it. Hopefully he's like, sure, everybody. Grabs his pen, signs it. Hopefully we're good. And then the loggers can be restricted to like 2%, 1%, which is still like 500,000 acres. That keeps the exports coming out of Alaska, keeps them decently wealthy, keeps the businessmen and the logging businesses up and running, so it keeps them happy. I mean, they might be happier if they're like, we want a free roam. Well, you can't do that. I can't run down the street and start, breaking people's windows. I could call that free roam, but you can't do that. So sometimes you got to obey the law if you like it or not. And then the loggers actually have to think about what they're cutting down because they know that eventually they're going to run out of trees to cut down, and they're going to be like, oh, now we got to replant trees, and I'm going to go out of business before they grow. That sucks for you, bud. You should have thought about that. That's where I think my best bet is, or our best bet is, to save the Tongass, is in the House of Congress, mainly the White House. I'm going to wrap this up. So, the Tongass, let's do a little summary here. 17 million acres of untouched beauty in Alaska. Home to 30,000 bears, 5 species of salmon. Might I add, that's where the great salmon spawn happens. They all go there to repopulate. They have the rare wolf. There are only 50 left in the wild. Biggest population of bald eagles. Over 400 species of animals. Whales live there. All kinds of stuff live in that forest, in that area. Survive off the nature and the nutrients that forest gives them. So we need to protect it. We need to save it. We need to stop humans from destroying. All our existence, we've destroyed. Nature, animals, ourselves, yada, yada, yada. We need to strive together, band together, come together to save this forest. Alaska is the last frontier, God's last painting, his last magnificent drawing of raw nature. Let us strive to be better and protect this forest for what it is and what it should always be. Because let's face it, one of these trees will outlast us entirely. That forest should be here when the end of time comes. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.